If you had to remember one thing that basketball has taught you in your life, what would it be?
Well, basketball has been all my life. That at the end of the day, if there is no chemistry, you can't go anywhere. First person that I learned this from was Professor Aleksandar Nikolić, first. And if Professor Nikolić said that, it's probably true.
Another week, another banger. Today on the podcast, Ettore Messina. Before starting the episode, very important from our side to tell you guys, be a bit kind with us about the sound of today's episode, because it was a very last minute episode, but I'm sure you're still going to find value out of it and a great conversation. Just before starting, just take 2 seconds of your time and hit the subscribe button. We'll change the world for us. It makes the show bigger and better every single week. So please take 2 seconds of your time. It's for free. You have nothing else to do than hit the subscribe button and helps us tremendously. Just a little note here as well. This episode has been recorded on the 10th of October. Thank you so much. And I hope you will enjoy this one.
Coach Messina, welcome on the podcast. It's a huge honor, to meet you and get to talk with you. We've heard a lot about you. We've seen you for many years. So yes. Thank you so much.
You're more than welcome. Thank you.
I want to start this podcast a little differently than usual. I will give you one word and you will tell me what's the first word that comes to mind when you think about this. For example, national team of Italy.
It was a great honor for me to coach the team in between 92 and 97. Our biggest result was the silver medal in Barcelona with a very young team. So that was big, good memory. On the other hand, a very hard memory when we lost in overtime the final of the pre-Olympic to go to the Olympics. We had a rough game and we were close, but we couldn't finish.
And then one word for Phil Jackson.
I never met him, but I met him actually 2-3 times, but never had the opportunity to develop a relationship with him. So surely a brilliant mind, and winningest coach in the NBA. That says everything for him.
How do you manage to stay so long at the top after so many years, playing in so many leagues, always having to reinvent yourself? How do you manage to always stay at the top?
Well, first of all, thank you. I would say good teams, first of all, very, very good teams, very good clubs.
Yeah.
And also the two stints that I spent in the NBA gave me an opportunity to learn, to enjoy a little bit of time off, meaning you don't have the stress of being the head coach, and experience a completely new environment at the highest possible level. It's a kind of something that gives you a lot of energy. The first time happened in 2011 when I had the opportunity to work with Mike Brown and the Lakers.
Yes.
That was also personally a very tough year because I had just lost my sister after my brother or whatever, so it was really not a good time. So the possibility to go there and live that experience was very special. The second time was obviously a very big professional opportunity. 5 years, first assistant of Greg Popovich, the possibility, it was great players, an unbelievable organization with the Spurs. It's something that is very hard to describe how good professionals, caring, organized they are.
We will get back to the NBA a bit later, but you were so successful in Europe also before your second stint in the NBA. Why to choose another role in the NBA when you're so successful and have already a secured place in the European basketball ecosystem? Why to take this jump and even go in the NBA if you do it all here?
Good question. You're too young to remember to remember the first person who did the heart transplant, Professor Barnard from South Africa.
I heard the story. Yeah.
So Professor Barnard did for the first time put another heart in the body of a person, and this person lived for some years. So I had the opportunity to go work with Professor Barnard of basketball with Greg Popovich. Second, it was a unique opportunity to stay by the side of Manu in the final stage of his career. Third, the Spurs always, in my opinion, embodied all the right things that you have to be and do to be, successful in the right way. So the opportunity to some way to live through that principles, but also have the confirmation that what you have tried to follow in your life is right.
Yes, interesting.
So all these things, put everything together. So I decided. I honestly, I didn't even think too much.
Okay.
When I had the opportunity, my contract with CSKA had finished. Coach Pop came up with this, and I took it.
Incredible.
I mean, you said that we were probably too young, but I've seen you first started coaching professionally 20 years before we were born, so it puts into context.
That's 89, 90?
Yes.
That's crazy.
I mean, which is a long time.
You're both very young, my friends.
But tell me, what was it like basketball in Italy in the 80s? Because I see the people are very engaged here and they love basketball.
Yes, but in the 80s, I think it was really, really big.
Yeah.
There were great teams, not only Milano, Bologna, Rome. Rome won the national championship in '83. 20,000 people in the arena.
Oh my God!
And the year after, in '84, they won. They won the EuroLeague. Yeah, back then was a Champions Cup. So there was Milano, Rome, Bologna, Cantu, Varese. Don't forget that Varese, between the 70s and the 80s, played 10 times the final game of the Champions Cup.
This is unreal.
10 years in a row, winning 5 and losing 5 with CSKA or Maccabi. But now you have a group of players led by Meneghian and with coaches like Prof. Nikolić and Sandro Gamba and whatever. And I mean, this club plays the final game for 10 years in a row. It's unheard of.
Yeah, now it never happened since.
Well, when I was with CSKA, we played the final game for 4 straight years.
Okay.
2006, 7, 8, and 9. We won 2, lost 2, but 4 times in a row, it looked like one of them. So think about 10. So back then it was big time. Basketball was really, we had a huge TV contract.
Okay.
That really helped the league to develop. Owners and president founded the league late in the 70s.
Okay.
The league of the clubs. So I think it was a very healthy environment at the point that we established good relationship with the Spanish league, and the Spanish league that now is probably the best league in Europe, took a lot from the Italian league.
Okay, interesting.
So there was a lot of interchange. It was the leading league in Italy back in Europe back then. Then unfortunately, the country went through some financial problem, less investment, less. Back then, also our national team was pretty competitive. We won the EuroBasket in '83, and then we got the silver in '91. Silver in '97, back with Coach Stanković, they won in '99. So, 80s and 90s were big years, for sure. Until I would say the beginning of the 2000, when with Bologna we won again the Euro.
Yes.
But at this time, what was Italy doing different than other countries, to be so dominant and, have a good TV rights and have people come at the games? Like, what was happening at this time?
Good question. Basketball-wise, I think we had a very good youth program.
Okay.
And we were developing players. I think great leadership in the clubs and in the league, and that was really, really helpful. Third, the results of the national team were carrying a lot. In Europe, as you will know, when the national team has success, there is a lot of traction, positive traction.
We saw this summer.
Yeah. And that happened. This is why, it would be so nice that we finally find some kind of balance between, national leagues, EuroLeague, FIBA activities, because we also need the national teams. The national teams are in the heart of the people, and we got to find a way to balance all this without killing the players with so many games.
You mentioning this balance, we talked about before the podcast about your perception of this crazy schedule right now. Do you think that the schedule we're facing right now with all these games in local leagues and Euro leagues is hurting the game itself?
It's hurting the players, first of all. I mean, the number of injuries is beyond imagination. beyond imagination. All the EuroLeague teams have a roster with 15, 16, 17 players, not necessarily because of the load, but especially because the injuries will come. And if somebody goes down, it's very complicated to get players, to find players. As everybody mentioned, EuroLeague unfortunately is becoming a league of veteran players for two reasons. First of all, no availability on the market. Second, the veteran players are much more experienced and they are capable to play with the pressure that you have in the EuroLeague competition. A young player or a player coming for the first time from the States needs an adjustment time, which sometimes you're already in the middle of the season. You spend already 4 months, and it's very complicated, very, very difficult.
Wow. I mean, we've had...
It's a circle, it's a circle because less players of that level, less let's say, ability to match the expectations. And third, because there are less players, the prices go higher. So it's all complicated.
It's getting messy.
How would you change this? Would you get rid of the local leagues to only focus on EuroLeague, or how would you change it?
That's impossible.
Yeah, it's hard to.
That's impossible. I think we, as Milano, for example, we asked even this year with the 20 teams to have 2 conferences, and don't exceed the number of games that were played last year. I think the local league should probably consider a maximum number of participants in order to cut 3-4 games a year. So everybody should sacrifice a little bit.
True.
The problem is that everybody is trying to pursue his own interest, and it's a little difficult, very, very difficult. At the end of the day, players and coaches are those who have on their shoulders all this, because there are players who really play more than 100 games a year. And
this is insane, man.
When they make the comparison with the NBA, the intensity of these games all year long, starting with game 1, it's second, in my opinion, only to the NBA playoffs. I'm not talking about nothing special.
I agree.
I think there is a completely different way to approach the game. The way the game is played and lived in the United States, more like an event, more something, I would say, lighter in terms of drama and pressure. And here, every game from game 1, you see veteran players diving on the floor for a loose ball after 1 minute of the game. So that's how you play the NBA playoffs, which are probably the highest level of professional basketball in the world. Obviously with probably less talent, less let's say physicality or whatever, but we play that intensity every game. And then when they go during the windows to the national team, obviously they want to perform because they are proud to defend their country. And then there is the National Cup, and then there is the National Super Cup, and then whatever.
They can't choose the games.
Exactly.
But it's interesting to use the word physicality, because I've seen in some of your previous interviews that for you, physicality in the game of basketball is very, very important, and which very coincides with the EuroLeague and those European leagues. Is it a factor? It's really important for you when you bring in players, like you know that they're going to play physical and they can handle all the heat, let's say.
Well, here in Europe, whatever you try to do on the court, you have somebody who tries not to allow you to do that. Mm-hmm. Okay. Not in a, let's say, bad or dirty way, but using wisely their body. Here people knows how to, use the forearm, push you off your route, how to, box out in a physical way. That's the way the game is being played here in Europe for 100 years. So if you are not used to that, it's not an easy adjustment. It's not an easy adjustment. Whether you're a young player coming from the youth programs or maybe coming from the second competition in your own country, and maybe you have the tools, but it requires, one thing is athleticism, running, jumping, whatever. One thing is physicality, which is using that athleticism through contact. Not everybody are capable, and sometimes people who are not capable, they lose the advantage of their athleticism because of this let's say lack of physicality, call it as you want.
So thinking about this, I have one player that comes to mind is Kyle Hines, which I think for me was the perfect example of using this physicality.
Sure.
even though, you know, he was undersized. What was it like coaching Kyle Hines when he was so different than every other center, let's say?
Let's distinguish two things. First of all, the Kyle Hines person. I mean, that he's a bless for anybody. For anybody, when he walks in the room, he's a person that you would like to be like him. You know, in terms of the way he handles himself, in terms of his integrity, loyalty, positiveness. He has all the quality. Sometimes I was joking. He drives you crazy because you say, where is the hidden part?
Oh, okay.
Interesting. No, but this is a joke, please. So that's the thing. He comes every practice and he's ready every day, and you know, and he's always team first in the real, meaning that if he has something that bothers him, he doesn't even show it, because everything goes to the team, to the practice, to the coaches and whatever. So that's the first part, which is a blessing. Basketball-wise, you need to learn from those who coached before him and watching him how to use him. You know, he's a master of the short roll and the passing. So for example, if you use him in hard rolls, you lose him. He's a master of switches. While if you ask him defensively to drop, maybe he's not at his best. He's a high post player. I mean, here we invented him bringing the ball up court. One year we were playing Real Madrid, and obviously you had to face Tavares, and so the difference was in size was huge. And in the same game, we were already missing Kevin Panther. Malcolm Delaney gets hurt immediately, so we stay with only Chacho as a point guard. And so we talk, and we decide to have him bringing the ball and initiating the plays and whatever. And besides the fact that we ended up winning, but that created for us, let's say, a staple of our actions, because having against the pressure, Kyle bringing the ball and organizing the offense was really fun to watch.
And teams were not ready for this, I guess.
Of course. But I mean, that was just an accident that it happened. It's not that we're genius and we found something different. But so again, you needed always to be aware of his, let's say, special skills. You know, and the last thing defensively, he was an unbelievable protector of the rim, even with the size. He had timing, he was blocking shot, he was explosive, and excellent rebounder, offense and defense. I mean, it's not a case that he has all the accolades for a reason, American who, you know, he has everything. More minutes, more wins, more everything. He's a living record.
Crazy. Another player that comes in mind when we speak to you is obviously Ginóbili, as we mentioned before. Could you describe us your relationship with Ginóbili?
It was very honest, very open, Manu is one of the, let's say, is another Kyle Hines. You know, is always team first, is always, you know, he has a positive leadership. He has a unique energy. He brings you a lot of enthusiasm. Even in the final part of his career, if you remember, when he was 37, whatever, everybody goes on YouTube and sees his block shot on Harden game, or a great pass, or even a dunk. So can you imagine when he was 23, 24?
Crazy.
It was, and he had unbelievable parents who grew, unbelievable family, brothers, whatever. So he's always been, you know, in the right environment, and everything good that happened in his career is much more than deserved. You know?
Did he contribute to the fact that the Spurs signed you?
No, I don't think so. No. We kept the relationship because, as you know, when in Bologna we signed him, he had been drafted. And so RC Buford and his staff, we always had them at practices, at games or whatever. So we were, in an indirect way, I was, let's say, a second level member of the family. You know, it was, meaning that we had a relationship with Coach Pop, with with RC, with
Nice.
everybody, yes.
It's interesting, you know, I grew up loving basketball since I was a very young kid. I was a lefty. And out of all the players, the player that drove me the craziest watching the highlights was Ginóbili, you know. For me, it's beyond basketball. It was like art, music. And my question to you is, when you have those players that are insanely talented, you as a coach, what is your role? Like, you cannot tell them, like, this is how you have to dribble the ball. Like, how do you coach these types of players?
Well, first of all, you're fortunate because when you go to the gym, these players give you energy,
Okay.
enthusiasm. A lot of times it works the other way, meaning that players would need your energy, your enthusiasm. And obviously when you're 40 it's one energy, when you're 60 it's a completely different energy. So to have these people that, you know, feed you with their energy is a blessing. You know?
Yeah.
It's very, very important. I think that back then, the thing was to, for what I can recall with Manu, it was always at the beginning to make him see the passes, where he had outlets, where he had how to, when was the best moment for him to take over a game, to take control, maybe help him, like all great young athletes, skilled. Obviously, sometimes he was doing too fast. So and not only me. I think he was fortunate to play with Antoine Rigaudeau.
Yes.
I think he benefited a lot talking with Antoine. I imagine because when you have those players, you try to steal something. And Manu has always been too nice to me, and he always said very warm and heartfelt things. But the reality was that anybody could have helped him, because he helped himself to become who he is. But that was, I remember back then. I think all these players, all these great players, can be helped a little bit to figure out how to use their enormous talent also with the others. How to use also the other players to help them to perform, so that they can also take a little bit of load out of themselves and they can save their best for the crucial moment. You cannot, as good as you are, you cannot do the game by yourself for 40 minutes.
For sure,
it's
yeah.
exhausting. So you need to, let's say, find a way to work together with the others, and that's where I think a coach can help.
Yes.
Most of the times these great players also show you something that maybe you have never seen in terms of individual skills or quality of passes or whatever. What you can help them to see is how to connect with the others. That's something you can do.
I love that you spoke about Antoine Rigaudeau, because we're from France, and of course we're the younger generation, so we didn't get to see him, and we always heard those urban legends about players like Rigaudeau, right? But we never actually seen him play.
Le meilleur meneur de jeu.
Yeah, the king, that was his nickname.
Big brain, big personality, great skills. He could pass, he could shoot. He was playing at his own pace, but he could really lead the team. Really.
The team you had in Bologna those years were unbelievable. I saw 4 years, 2 EuroLeague titles. What was special about this team?
Well, we had great players, and we were able somehow, together with the owner and with Roberto Brunamonte, to basically have two different teams. The teams in 98 was with Danilovic, Savic, Rigaudeau, Skorokini, Abio, Rashon, Esterovic, Frozini, whatever. Then this group became all. Danilovic decided to retire. Zoran went to play to Efes and blah 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 blah. So basically, remained only Antoine as a pillar, and all the rest were younger players.
Okay.
And starting with Manu and Marko Jaric and Matijas Modic and all that, David Anderson, blah 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 blah. So there was just 1 year in '99 where we were floating from one, let's say, generation to the other,
like a rebuild, let's say.
Yeah, but we kept it at a very high level, and and we were fortunate in selecting very, very good players. I remember Rashard Griffith was unbelievable in the second stint. But Antoine was a crucial part because he played from, if I am 97, 98 to 2002, 2003, and he carried somehow the meaning of being with Virtus Bologna to represent the club, to represent the fans, the city, blah, blah, blah. And the city and the fans were obviously a big part of that success. We were always selling out all games, and it was very special.
That looks like such a fun period. Like I wish I could experience those type of.
It was unbelievable. We had back then Fortitudo and Virtus Bologna at the same time in the same city.
Wow.
Both of them having 10,000 people at the game. Players, unbelievable players on both sides. In '98 we played 10 derbies. 10. I mean, it's something that even Panathinaikos and Olympiacos have not experienced. 10. But we played playoff of EuroLeague. We played finals. I mean, it was nice.
But you know what's interesting since the beginning of the podcast, Coach, is that every time we ask you, like, not the reason, but like why you have been so successful, you always say the players. You never say yourself. Do you believe it's really all about the players when it comes to success?
It's a lot about the players. First person that I learned this from was Professor Aleksandar Nikolić. You are as good as a coach as your group of players is, first. And if Professor Nikolić said that, it's probably true. Second, I've always, I've never been a player at high level. I stopped playing. I was a very, very normal kid playing basketball, enjoying playing basketball a lot. But I stopped when I was 17 because I thought that I could enjoy this career, and I was very fortunate. But I never played high level, so I have no clue what they feel before the game, what they feel in a locker room, what they, I have no clue. I just watch and try to learn from them. But I always believe that it's like the movie. People go to the movie to watch a film when they see who's acting.
Yes, I saw the quote.
Not who's the director. You want to see Harrison Ford, you want to see Julia Roberts and all those actors. Then you check, and if it's Spielberg, you say, oh, Spielberg with Harrison Ford and Julia Roberts. Okay, if Spielberg or Kubrick, they have Ettore Messina on stage. I don't know if you would go firsthand to the movie. You will wait for somebody to tell you that it's a good movie. So they don't come to the games because of the coach. They come to the game because of the players.
Interesting. Yeah.
Simple as that.
You said that, of course, you never played at very high level professionally as a player, so sometimes you never really understood the players, what they go through. Do you think that sometimes this led to some difficulties dealing with some of your players and stuff at some point?
Sure. No doubt.
Yeah. And how do you deal with those moments?
Well, I think the most important thing sometimes is to say I'm wrong. Yeah. And honestly, it's not easy. But you have to. I think it's part of your responsibility towards your group. Sometimes you make a mistake, sometimes you say the wrong thing, sometimes you say in the wrong way, and you can rub people off in the wrong way. And so that's obviously something that you're not happy with yourself, first of all. I think you have to, on the other side, you have to come every day prepared. And that's it. Plus, I think it's a matter of let's say honesty.
Yeah.
It's very simple. It's like in every relationship. It's not only in basketball, in any professional relationship, in any life relationship. I mean, if one of the two people feel that the other one is full of himself, we have a problem. Very, 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 very simple. Difficult, but that's
life in every aspect.
I would like to have your perspective on, you're coming to Milan, this legendary club. How is it to be at the same time the coach and the president?
We agreed with Mr. Armani, Mr. Dell'Orco, that I was basically having the whole responsibility for the club. That doesn't mean that I put my nose in everything.
Yeah.
Basically, the bottom line of being the president is that you have the final word in selecting a player. Very, very simple. Otherwise, you always get in those situations which are unpleasant, that I gave you a very good player, you cannot coach him, or how can I coach this player who can't play? It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
You got to be on the same page without knowing who I was working with. I didn't know anybody here in the environment. I was completely new. There had been some situation that, of course, they needed to fix. Otherwise, they would have not made changes. We agreed that that was the best situation, that I was going to choose the people. Very simple. That's the only thing that I'm doing more than coaching. But then there is a bunch of people, from Christos Stavropoulos to Daniele Baiesi to Claudio Rimardi, who runs the press and ticketing, whatever. I'm not there checking the ticketing or the marketing. That's not my job. I just help and put my word in choosing the people. That's very important. And I wanted to have the final word on players, because that's my responsibility. Okay, but there is nothing different from what I did before, because even in other clubs I didn't have the title, but I remember I was always fortunate to have owners who let me have the final word on a player. Just to build the team. It's a responsibility, but whatever. So at the same time, I was very fortunate to have the possibility to work with Mr. Armani and Mr. Dell'Orco, because they are unbelievable owners, with their enthusiasm, with their respect of roles, with their presence, with their care for players, coaches, everybody. I mean, this club is really, really a very high-level organization in terms of it's very. When you talk about, I was fortunate to leave the Spurs, to leave CSKA, another unbelievable organization.
Yes.
Benetton Treviso, obviously Virtus Bologna. I mean, those years, that club was unbelievable. And even in Madrid, Madrid is probably the biggest club in the world. So he has his own special, let's say, need, expectation, and whatever that, at least for me, was not easy to understand. That's why, I left back then, but I still have an unbelievable amount of respect, because in these clubs that I've mentioned, that I've been fortunate to be associated with, there is a huge sense of consideration for the position of the coach, which is the key for you to try to work well.
Looking back at all those years, you've been around basketball. Basketball has been your whole life. If you had to remember one thing that basketball has taught you in your life, what would it be?
Well, basketball has been all my life. That at the end of the day, if there is no chemistry, you can't go anywhere. Besides the enormous talent you might have. At the end of the day, the togetherness, the cohesion, the group. I think the famous quote about the wolf and the pack.
Yes.
The pack and the wolf. Unfortunately, it's true. You can have the strongest wolf in the world, but if they don't put together the pack, you're not gonna go anywhere. Which is also the biggest satisfaction, I think, for a coach, when you see the team playing flawless.
Yes.
You have a sense like a group of people who are playing music, like in a jam session.
Interesting.
With harmony.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not an orchestra, but a jam session, where everybody knows when to take more responsibility and when to let somebody else have more responsibility. When they execute together, or when there is the moment for a solo.
Yes.
For one of the instruments or whatever. So you watch this, you see this thing going up and down. And you're happy.
Last question, our signature question of the podcast. If one day you're leaving this earth, what do you want to be remembered for?
I always have, let's say, one big thing for me is that I get the respect for being honest. Okay, I would be happy if that would be the thing that my players or my colleagues or my assistants would remember. The rest, the outside, doesn't matter, because the rest, you're always labeled in different ways. Most of the times, you are much nicer when you win and much more stupid when you lose, which is fine. It's part of life. But with the people that you have worked with, if they remember you like a loyal person, I think that would be very, very rewarding.
Coach, thank you so much.
Coach Messina, guys, thank you so much.
Thank you.